A lot of people are saying, is it Shanahan's fault or is it Jimmy G's fault? Is it Shanahan's fault that they had a 10-point lead and they only rushed the ball 10 times in the second half and they chose not to get Mostert the rock until the middle of the second quarter? A lot of people are wondering, is this Shanahan's fault? I think you could definitely place some blame on old Kyle Shanahan. I think anytime somebody wins or loses, the coach either gets credit or the blame. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But the fact that they weren't running the rock more towards the end there, I think is a very suspect decision. The fact that the last three series that they had average 51 seconds whenever you're in the lead is a very difficult stat to look at if you're the head coach and also the play caller whenever you're looking back on a game that you guys had the lead and potentially could have won a Super Bowl and instead you lost. And then if you flip it over to Jimmy G, people are like, is it Jimmy G's fault? Jimmy G was 1 of 9 on passes longer than 20 yards and had 2 interceptions whenever he had any pressure at all on him. Jimmy G did not have a great game as well. That Emmanuel Sanders go route that if Jimmy G hits there, we're having a completely different show today. We're talking about Jimmy G, who all year had the clutch gene, by the way. Number 1 in the NFL in the fourth quarter. Number 1 in QBR whenever he was trailing. All these things that Jimmy G had going into the game that made people say, you know what, although they handed the ball off 8 times in the NFC, or only threw the ball 8 times in the NFC Championship, Jimmy G can win a game for you if you need to. There was a couple plays last night where Jimmy G could have won the game for the Niners, and he just didn't. That's just the facts of life. That's just how we have to look at the game. So people are saying, is it Garappolo's fault? Is it Shanahan's fault? I think this particular show takes a very strong stand that we blame both the son of a bitch. I mean, honestly, we do. And to my bank account and to my gambling last night, I thank them both for the decisions that they made. And I think on the other side, I think old Andy Reid running that option towards Bosa early was a beautiful thing. I think Patrick Mahomes was not hot last night. Patrick Mahomes was off. Biggest game in the history of games. No matter how calm, cool, and collected you are in this type of situation, you can be off a little bit. He seemed a little tight. He missed a couple passes that were very routine for Patrick Mahomes throughout the season and in the playoffs seemed to be a little bit more difficult. But whenever Patrick Mahomes had to make a play, Patrick Mahomes made the damn play. And that's the difference between Patty Mahomes and a lot of other quarterbacks, including Jimmy G. Whenever the play had to be made, you knew and had a feeling that Patrick Mahomes was going to make it. It's just like back in the day whenever Tom Brady would get the ball in the fourth quarter. If Tom Brady got the ball in the fourth quarter and they needed to score, everybody knew what was going to happen. Tom Brady was going to walk right down the field and score. There was just nothing anybody could do about it. Nothing. Last night, whenever Patrick Mahomes had to make a play, I feel like everybody in the world was like, yep, Patrick Mahomes is going to make a play, and he did just that. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, too. Now, Patrick Mahomes saw some pressure. He got sacked. He strip fumble happened, that whole thing. I mean, there was some pressure. But at the end, whenever they had to run the 4-minute offense and ground and pound with an opportunity to potentially have to punt the ball back to the Niners, they go ahead and score with a run that was wide open for Williams. And I think that was an awesome team victory for the entire Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, what I loved about the whole game is that we saw everything from each team. Like Mahomes and the Chiefs offense made plays. 49ers defense made plays. The Chiefs defense stepped up. The 49ers run game made some plays. So it was like everything that everyone had talked about needed to happen in the game did happen. It's just that in the end, Chiefs offense, Patrick Mahomes made more plays.
And Kyle Shanahan abandoned the run whenever they were in the lead in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter.
After Mahomes was picked with 12 minutes left, they ran the two drives after that. They ran 5 passes, 3 runs, only ran off 4 minutes of the clock.
George Kittle pointed back to the interception where they got no points as being the reason why they lost. And I think that's an incredibly mature hindsight look at it because that's true. I think they did something that not a lot of people were able to do, which is get a turnover from Patrick Mahomes. Did twice. Did it late with a lead. Have to punish Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs whenever that happens. They just weren't able to do that. And by the way, Chris Jones is an animal.
Yeah.
Tyrann Mathieu, beast. Frank Clark, hilariously great football player. He's hilarious and he's a great football player. That Chiefs defense had to step up, and they did on numerous occasions.